She realized something was terribly wrong the moment she stepped into the hallway because room 304 was supposed to be empty. But someone inside was breathing. Nurse Emily Carter froze halfway through her shift, her hands still gripping the medication cart, her ears locked on the faint, rhythmic sound coming from behind the closed door. The hospital wing was silent, too silent, the kind of silence that made every heartbeat echo in your skull. This was the psychiatric recovery floor, where every room was monitored strictly, every patient documented, every change recorded, and room 304 had been vacated 3 days ago after its last patient died. Emily knew that better than anyone because she was the one who found him. The breathing continued, slow and rough, like someone struggling for air. She felt a cold rush down her spine. Maybe it was a maintenance worker, maybe another nurse, maybe someone misplaced. She told herself anything to keep her legs from trembling, but the truth was louder than her excuses. No one should be in that room. She pulled out her tablet to check the room assignment. 304. Status vacant. She pressed refresh twice. Vacant. The breathing grew harsher. A wet, dragging exhale. Something was definitely inside. Emily's chest tightened as she reached for the handle. The metal was colder than the rest of the hallway, chilling her fingers instantly. The overhead lights flickered, dimming for half a second, then coming back as if the building itself took a long, tired blink. She took a breath and pushed the door open. The first thing she noticed was the darkness. All other rooms had the soft glow of nighttime monitors, a low ambient hospital light, but 304 was nearly pitch black. Only a sliver of the hallway light spilled across the floor, showing the edge of the bed and part of the wall. And that's where she saw it. Someone was sitting on the bed, their silhouette barely visible, shoulders hunched, head down, breathing like each inhale scraped against torn lungs. Emily's breath caught. "Hello? Who's in here?" The figure didn't move, didn't acknowledge her, just breath slow, deep, guttural. Emily stepped closer, one cautious inch at a time. The faint smell of antiseptic lingered, mixed with something stronger like old metal, and something sour, decay. She tried again, keeping her voice steady. "Sir, this room isn't assigned. Are you okay? Do you need help?" The figure turned its head slightly, just enough for Emily to see the pale edge of a face. Then it whispered, "Cold." The word was soft, broken, like a throat that hadn't spoken in years. Emily's hand flew to the wall to find the light switch. She flicked it up. Nothing. Flicked again. Still nothing. Maybe the bulbs were out. Maybe the maintenance logs forgot something. She took her phone out to use as a flashlight, lifting it slowly toward the figure. The screen illuminated the room, casting pale white light and revealing the outline of the patient sitting on the bed. And then Emily's blood iced over because she recognized the gown, the posture, the shape of his face. "Mr. Harlow," she whispered. It couldn't be him. He was dead. She had found his body 3 days ago, lifeless, cold, eyes wide open. She had filled out the report herself. The hospital had documented everything. The coroner had picked him up, but the man sitting on the bed looked exactly like him. Same hospital gown, same scruffy beard, same ridge on the nose where he'd broken it years earlier. "Cold," the man repeated, shivering, rocking slightly. Emily staggered backward. Her mind raced, shock, hallucination, mistaken identity, but nothing made sense. She swallowed hard. "You're not supposed to be here." The man lifted his head slowly, revealing eyes that glowed faintly, not from reflection, but from within, like embers dying in the dark. Emily gasped. The temperature around her plummeted. She could see her own breath in the beam of her phone's light. Impossible. Room 304 wasn't this cold earlier. The figure stopped rocking. Then, with agonizing slowness, it stood up from the bed. Its joints cracked, the sound echoing unnaturally loud through the small room. Emily stepped back until she hit the door. She grabbed the handle, but it wouldn't budge. Stuck. Jammed. Her breath quickened. "Stay back," she warned, though her voice shook so badly the words barely formed. The manor, whatever he was, stilted his head at her, studying her like she was some strange animal. Then he spoke again, voice breaking like splitting ice. "Help me." Emily's heart broke and froze at the same time. If there was even a chance this was a real human being, she couldn't run. But if it wasn't Tiff, it was something else. She might already be trapped. The figure took one step closer. The lights in the hallway flickered again. Emily's phone glitched into static for a moment, the flashlight flickering weakly. She tightened her grip, praying it wouldn't die. She forced herself to speak. "Mr. Harlow, if that's you, I need to know how you got here." His mouth twitched, then widened. Too wide. The skin around his lips cracked as he dragged it into a grotesque half-smile. "They let me out." Emily felt a chill stab through her chest. "Who?" she whispered. He raised his hand slowly, pointing directly at her. "You." Her knees nearly buckled. No, I didn't. I wasn't even on shift yesterday." His head twitched with a sharp jerk. "Not yesterday." His eyes, those ember-like eyes, locked onto hers. Before. She didn't understand. Couldn't understand. The figure took another step forward. Emily fumbled for the emergency alarm button by the door. When she pressed it, nothing happened. The button didn't click, didn't depress. It was like it had been molded in place. Her breath hitched. Something was very, very wrong. The man reached the edge of the sliver of hallway light, and for the first time, Emily saw his full face. It was Mr. Harlow, and it wasn't. His skin rippled faintly with every breath, like something underneath was shifting, like something else was wearing him. Emily felt tears sting her eyes. "What are you?" The man's voice cracked into a whisper, painful and gravelly. "Cold, so cold." He lifted his hand toward her, palm trembling, fingers thin and unnaturally long. Emily's instincts screamed at her to run, fight, escape, but her legs refused to move. Then, from behind him, deeper in the darkness of the room, something moved. A soft dragging sound, another breath. Emily's heart nearly stopped. There was more than one. She aimed her phone's light toward the far wall. For half a second, the beam caught a shape, another figure crouched in the corner. Its body twisted, its eyes glowing faintly like the first. She gasped and stumbled back instinctively. The door behind her suddenly gave way and she fell backward into the hallway. Her phone clattered to the floor. The light scattered wildly across the walls. The figure in the bed doorway stepped forward again. The second one crawled behind him, limbs bending the wrong way. Emily scrambled to her feet, grabbed her phone, and slammed the door shut. Her hands trembled violently as she fumbled for the lock. She twisted it until the metal clicked. Her chest heaved as she backed away from the door, eyes wide, heart pounding so hard she could barely hear anything else. Then she froze, because from the other side of the door, she heard something. Not a scream, not a growl, a whisper. Two whispers. In unison. Emily. Her stomach dropped. They knew her name. Her phone vibrated in her hand, making her flinch. She looked down. A notification flashed on the screen. Room 304 patient notes updated. She hadn't updated anything. She clicked it. Her tablet synced automatically. Her blood ran cold. It now listed 2 active patients assigned to room 304, both with her signature, and both marked as admitted 10 minutes ago. Emily staggered backward, her brain spinning. She didn't sign anything. She didn't admit anyone. This was impossible, but the system timestamped didn't lie. And then the overhead speakers crackled to life. A distorted voice echoed through the hallway. "Nurse Emily Carter. Return to room 304 for patient evaluation." Her heart clenched painfully. No one used that announcement system at night. The operator had gone home hours ago. The system was locked. Her breath shook as she stepped away from the room, from the door, from the whispers still echoing faintly behind it. Something was terribly wrong in this hospital, and whatever was inside room 304 wasn't done with her yet. With trembling steps, she turned and ran down the hall. She didn't look back. She couldn't, because deep down, she knew if she did, she would see them standing in the doorway, watching her go. And she knew the worst part wasn't that they knew her name. It was that they believed she had brought them here. And that meant they weren't going to let her go until she proved them right. Emily didn't sleep, not for a second. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw those ember-like eyes watching her, waiting for her to return to room 304. By sunrise, her nerves were shredded. She sat alone in the staff lounge, hugging her knees on the worn sofa, unable to shake the feeling that the hospital itself was watching her. The sun outside filtered through the blinds, but even daylight didn't make her feel safe. She replayed the night again, and again the voice calling her name. The door that wouldn't open, the patient who was supposed to be dead. Her tablet lay on the table in front of her. She hadn't dared to open it since the notification. She didn't want to see those signatures again. She didn't want to see proof that something was rewriting hospital records using her name. Footsteps approached. Emily tensed. "Emily, you look like hell." It was Dr. Mason, the senior attending. His tone was light, joking, but his eyes sharpened as he got a better look at her. "What happened to you?" Emily hesitated. She couldn't tell him the truth. He'd think she was losing her mind. "Rough night," she muttered. Wing alarms kept going off. Mason frowned. Strange. None of that showed in the logs. Her stomach dropped. Of course it didn't. Nothing last night was normal. Nothing last night wanted to be found. "Maybe the system glitched," she said weakly. Mason shrugged and went to the coffee machine. The moment he turned, she grabbed her tablet, stuffed it in her bag, and stood. "I'm going to check supplies." "Hey," Mason said, glancing back at her. "You sure you're okay? You're shaking." "Just tired," Emily lied, gripping the doorway. "I'll catch up later." She walked out before he could question her further. The hallway seemed brighter than last night, but the brightness didn't comfort her. It only made the shadows stand out harsher. As she crossed the main nurse's station, she paused. Room 304's door was shut. A maintenance sign hung on the handle. "Do not enter." She felt sick. Who put that there? No one else was here last night. She hadn't reported anything. Could someone else have heard something? She turned to leave when her tablet chimed. Again, she froze. Another notification appeared on the locked screen. Room 304, patient file updated. She swore under her breath. Her hand trembled as she unlocked the device. The same 2 patients were listed. But now, there was a third. Her heart skipped painfully. New admission, room 304, patient name, Carter. Emily's status, intake pending signature, pre-approved. She nearly dropped the tablet. Someone or something was checking her into room 34. She took a step back, bumping the counter. No, not someone. The same thing that had been waiting for her inside that room. The breath in the dark. The cold that wasn't natural. The glowing eyes. She backed away from the screen. No, she wasn't going near that door again. She ran. She didn't care who saw her. She ran straight to the elevator, pressing the buttons with frantic desperation. The doors closed. She exhaled shakily, but the relief lasted only seconds. The elevator didn't move. The overhead lights flickered, then dimmed. A cold draft brushed the back of her neck. She whipped around. Nothing was there, just the metal walls. The elevator shuddered, but instead of going down to the lobby, it moved up, past the 4th floor, past the 5th, past floors that didn't even exist. The digital display glitched wildly. 6, 9, 2, 4, 8, 3, then it went blank. The elevator jolted to a stop. Emily's breath quickened. She pressed the open door button repeatedly. Come on, come on. The doors finally slid open to a hallway she had never seen in her life. It was wrong. The floor was old linoleum, yellowed and cracked. The walls were a dull green, peeling in long strips. Light flickered from bulbs hanging loosely from the ceiling. This wasn't her hospital. It wasn't any hospital she recognized. She stepped out cautiously. The elevator doors immediately slammed shut behind her, making her jump. She turned, but the elevator was gone. Only a blank wall remained. Panic rose like fire in her chest. She pressed her hands against the walls, solid, cold, real. She wasn't hallucinating. She wasn't dreaming. Something had pulled her somewhere else, somewhere older, somewhere forgotten. A long corridor stretched ahead, filled with shadows that writhed at the edges of her vision. She forced her legs to move. Every step echoed unnaturally loud, like the hallway was swallowing the sound. She passed a series of doors. All were marked the same way. Room 304. Her blood froze. Every door. Every single one. Room 304. She reached the end of the hall and found another door, also labeled Room 304. The doorknob began to turn on its own. Emily stumbled back. The door creaked open slowly. Inside was darkness thick, swallowing darkness. And from within, she heard it again. Breathing. Not one person. Not too many. A chorus of strained, cold, unnatural breaths. Emily's entire body screamed at her to run. She backed away then, turned and sprinted down the corridor. The hallway stretched longer and longer, impossibly long, like it was looping. The doors blurred past her 304, 304, 304 until she felt like she was trapped inside a nightmare. Finally, she reached a corner and whipped around it and slammed directly into someone. She screamed. Hands grabbed her shoulders. Hey, Emily, it's me. She staggered back, gasping. It was Dr. Mason. But he looked wrong. His skin was pale, unnaturally so. His eyes were glassy, and he didn't seem to be breathing. Where did you come from? She stammered. Mason tilted his head. I've always been here. Emily stepped back instinctively. Mason stepped forward. His voice seemed layered, like two people speaking at once. We've all been here. She shook her head. No, you're not real. You weren't in the elevator with me. Yes, he said softly. I was? His pupils dilated. I was in room 304. Emily stumbled backward. You're not him. Mason smiled. But it wasn't Mason's smile. It stretched too far, pulled too tight. We've been waiting for you, Emily. She bolted. Mason's voice echoed behind her, no longer human. You can't leave. She ran blindly, turning corners at random, until a beam of bright white light cut across the hallway. She skidded to a stop. It was an exit sign, a real one, glowing red. She sprinted to it and shoved the door open. A blast of normal, sterile hospital air hit her. She collapsed through the doorway, tumbling onto the clean tile floor of the main ER corridor. Voices surrounded her. Real voices. Nurses. Orderlies. People. Human people. Emily. Emily, are you okay? She looked up. A nurse she recognized. Trina knelt beside her. There was room 34, she gasped. Trina frowned. Emily, that wing is sealed for renovation. It's been closed for months. Emily's eyes widened. No, there was a patient's. 2 patients' eyes saw them. Trina's face softened like she was speaking to a traumatized child. There's no one in 304, honey. There hasn't been anyone in that room since last year. Emily felt all the breath leave her body. No, I saw them. Trina helped her sit up. You need rest. But Emily wasn't listening anymore. Her eyes drifted to a nearby computer monitor. It displayed the hospital's digital room map. She scanned the list. Room 304 wasn't marked vacant. It wasn't marked under renovation. It wasn't marked at all. It was gone, completely removed. like it never existed. Emily's pulse thundered. Something was rewriting the building, rewriting the people, rewriting her. She pushed herself up and staggered to the nurse's station. I need patient records. Trina followed. Emily, you should sit down. I need them. Emily snapped. Trina hesitated, then nodded. Emily opened the patient database. Her fingers trembled as she searched. Harlow, Peter, the deceased patient she found in 304. No results. Found, she typed again. Nothing. She tried searching the coroner logs. Nothing. She searched discharge records. Nothing. It was like he had never been alive. Like he had never died. Like he had never existed. Emily felt her hands shaking uncontrollably. No, this isn't possible. Trina placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. Emily, you're not making sense. There's no patient by that name. Emily turned sharply. I found his body. I filled out his death report. Trina stepped back. Your schedule says you were off for 3 days last week. Emily stared at her. What? You weren't here, Trina insisted. You definitely didn't do any death report. A cold shiver crawled down Emily's spine. Something was erasing her memories, or worse, erasing evidence of its own existence. The overhead speakers crackled suddenly. Emily froze. The nurses froze. A distorted voice spoke. Not human, not steady. Twisted, like someone was speaking underwater. Nurse Emily Carter. The sound vibrated through her bones. Report to room 304. Trina frowned. What the hell? There is no room 304. Emily stepped back, her breath shaking. The voice repeated. Report to room 304. Lights flickered violently, buzzed, then snapped back on. Every monitor on the nurse's station flickered. For a split second, all screens flashed the same message. Room 304, AWITS, and then it vanished. Trina looked at Emily, eyes wide. What is going on? But Emily couldn't answer. Her gaze drifted down the hallway toward the wing that was supposedly under renovation, toward the door that wasn't supposed to exist. But it was there. She could see it. At the very end of the hall, room 304. The maintenance sign was gone. The door was cracked open. Something inside moved. Emily felt her body tilt forward, as if something was calling her, pulling her. Emily felt her body tilt forward, as if something was calling her, pulling her, demanding her return. Emily, Trina whispered. Don't go down there. Emily swallowed hard. I don't think I have a choice. She took a shaky step forward, then another. The hallway seemed to stretch unnaturally long again. The lights dimmed with each step she took. The air grew colder. Her breath turned visible. She reached the door. Room 304 waited, dark and open, breathing softly like a living thing. Something inside shifted, crawling closer, waiting for her. She closed her eyes once, steadying her breath. Then she pushed the door open and stepped inside. She knew something was waiting for her the moment she crossed the threshold, because the door to room 304 closed behind her without anyone touching it. The click echoed like a gunshot. Emily's breath hitched. The room was no longer the pitch-black void from last night. It looked normal. To normal, clean sheets, fresh monitors, warm light overhead, as if it had never been abandoned, as if nothing unnatural had ever touched it. But she wasn't fooled. Not after everything she'd seen. I know you're here, she whispered. A soft breath answered her from the shadows near the corner. Then another. Then a third. Emily clenched her jaw. Show yourselves. The overhead light flickered and, suddenly the three figures appeared. Mr. Harlow stood closest, gaunt face lit by a dim, unnatural glow beneath his skin. Behind him, two others she didn't recognize. One, a woman with empty eyes and a twisted jaw. The other, a tall, thin man hunched unnaturally forward. All three stared at her. All three whispered her name, Emily. She backed up until her shoulders hit the door. Why me? The three shapes stepped toward her in perfect unison, their voices layered, broken, inhuman. "You opened the door." "What door?" she gasped. Harlow tilted his head. "Before this place. Before you forgot." A painful pulse throbbed in her temple. For a second the room spun, images flashing too fast to grasp. An old wing of the hospital. A wooden door marked 304. Emily pushing it open. A shadow rushing out behind her. A cold breath on her neck. She staggered. No, that never happened. The woman's smile cracked wider than any human jaw could allow. "You let us out. You set us free. That is why we know your name." Emily felt tears burning her eyes. I didn't know what it was. "And now," the man whispered, "we are part of you." They stepped closer. The air froze. Emily's breath turned to frost. Her pulse hammered in her skull as the shadows stretched across the floor, inching toward her feet like dark hands reaching to pull her under. "Please," she whispered, voice breaking. "What do you want?" Harlow leaned forward until his face was inches from hers. His glowing eyes flickered like dying coals. "To go back." Emily stared. "Back where?" The floorboards creaked. The walls bent inward. The room folded into itself like a collapsing lung. The air vibrated with a low, unnatural hum. Harlow whispered, "Into you." And before she could scream, the three figures lunged. The darkness inside them burst outward like a wave of icy smoke, swallowing Emily, rushing into her mouth, her ears, her lungs. She clawed at the air, choking, gasping, collapsing to her knees as their voices echoed inside her skull. "Room 304 must live. In you." Her vision blurred. The floor dissolved beneath her. The world fell away. And then, when Emily opened her eyes, she was lying in a hospital bed. A nurse stood over her. A chart hung at her feet. She forced her head to turn. Patient name? Emily Carter. Room 304. Status? Admitted. The nurse smiled. A strange, too wide smile. "Welcome back." Emily tried to scream, but her voice wasn't her own anymore. Subscribe for more stories. Subscribe for more stories.